Hey, welcome! Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on something you probably interact with every day, but maybe don't think about too much: the secret life of a product. We're going to follow its journey, right from that initial little spark of a thought all the way until it ends up in your shopping cart.
I mean, really, have you ever stopped to think about it? The phone in your hand, that cup of coffee on your desk, every single thing has an origin story, and it's usually a long, pretty complex, and honestly, a fascinating adventure. So that's what we're going to unpack today.
Okay, so it all starts right here. Every amazing gadget, every service that makes your life easier, it doesn't begin in a factory or a lab. Nope. It begins with a single, simple spark, an idea.
And the thing is, these big ideas can pop up from literally anywhere. You've got the classic, almost mythical stories, right? HP and Apple starting out in a garage. But then you have a Motorola engineer, just, rollerblading, who thinks, hey, could I use this energy to charge a phone? Sometimes the best ideas come directly from customers, like when JCPenney listens to its lingerie panel. They can come from suppliers or even from trying to one-up your competitors. Inspiration is everywhere.
Now here's the kicker. Coming up with the idea, that's the easy part. It's practically free. The real challenge, where all the money and all the risk comes into play, is taking that little spark and turning it into something real, something you can actually hold. And that's where the journey gets intense.
So you should really think of this next part as a gauntlet. It's a series of brutal trials that an idea has to survive to even have a shot at making it out into the world. Most don't.
And this is that gauntlet. This is the path. After an idea is generated, it has to be screened. And this is where most ideas die, honestly. If it makes the cut, its features get specified, it gets developed into a prototype, but that's just a guess, right? So it has to be tested like crazy. First internally, that's alpha testing. Then with real customers, that's beta testing. Only after surviving all of that does it finally get to launch. And even then, it's constantly being evaluated. The work is never really done.
And right back at that screening stage, companies are juggling two massive risks. The first is investment risk. That's the obvious one. What if we pour a ton of money into this and it's a total flop? But the second one, opportunity risk, is almost scarier. It's the what if. What if by choosing to make this product, we're ignoring an even better idea that could have been a home run? It's a really tough balancing act.
All right, so let's imagine our little idea made it. It survived the gauntlet. The product is designed, it's tested, it's ready to go. Awesome. But now it faces a whole new kind of challenge. How in the world does it get from the factory floor into your hands?
Because here's a fundamental truth. A brilliant, life-changing product is completely useless if it's just sitting in a warehouse somewhere. That journey it takes to get to you, the customer, has a name. It's called the marketing channel, and it is absolutely as critical as the product itself.
So you might be thinking, well, why don't companies just sell everything directly to everyone? Well, for most, it would be a logistical nightmare. Just try to picture a huge company like John Deere trying to manage individual sales calls and deliveries with every single farmer in the country. It would be chaos. And this is exactly why. Look at the difference here. On the top, John Deere has to deal with 8 separate customers, which means 8 transactions, 8 points of contact. But on the bottom, they use an intermediary, a wholesaler. Now John Deere just makes one big sale to the wholesaler. The wholesaler then handles all 8 of the smaller sales. Yeah, it's 9 transactions total, but for John Deere, their workload just dropped from 8 to 1. That's the power of the middleman. It makes everything so much more efficient.
This brings us to what I like to call the product's travel team. These are the partners, the intermediaries that are essential for helping a product make that long, complicated journey to the customer. They're kind of the unsung heroes of the whole process.
So the two main players on this team are wholesalers and retailers. Think of wholesalers as the behind-the-scenes big volume players. They buy massive amounts from producers, break bulk, which just means they break it down into smaller packages, and then sell those to other businesses. Retailers, on the other hand, are the ones you know and see every day. They're the final step. They buy from the wholesalers and sell the products directly to us, the consumers.
And the world of retail is incredibly diverse, right? You've got your supermarkets for groceries, your big department stores, and specialty shops for when you need something specific and some expert advice. Then there are the massive category killers like Best Buy, which dominate one area. And of course, the endless digital shelves of online retailers. Each one of these is a different path for that product to take to finish its journey.
So now that we've seen all the individual pieces, let's zoom out for a second and just appreciate the complete and kind of epic journey we've just followed from start to finish. If you take away just one thing from all of this, let it be this quote: "How companies sell has become as important as what they sell."
It's not enough anymore to just invent something cool. You have to master the entire delivery system, that whole journey, to actually succeed.
So in the end, when you look at any successful product, you're not just looking at one good idea. You're seeing the result of a massive, long, and incredibly complex journey. From that first little spark of an idea, through that brutal development gauntlet, and all along that chain of wholesalers and retailers, it's a marathon, not a sprint.
And that brings us to a final thought. The next time you buy something, anything at all, just take a second and think about its secret life. What unseen journey did it take? What trials did it survive? What network of partners had to work together perfectly for it to travel from just an idea all the way to you? Pretty cool to think about, right? Thanks so much for tuning in.